My 18F mom 50F recently scolded me. I take about 2 to 4 minutes to go to the bathroom to pee. This includes wiping, flushing, and washing my hands. My mom just now realized how quickly I'm going, but she says I am not taking long enough and that I must have skipped washing my hands. She demanded to sniff my hands and see if she could smell our soap. She gave a sarcastic hum and said, "All right, you're lucky this time. I'll be checking next time." The next time I went, she demanded I go back and wash my hands with hot water and extra soap. She even watched me do it and then said, "You're too quick. You're clearly skipping a step or two." I told her I wasn't, but she said it doesn't take anyone 3 minutes to pee. She says it should take at least 6 minutes. I'm so confused because she's never had an issue with this before. It has now escalated to wanting to sniff my hands after every bathroom trip, demanding I wash my hands twice, monitoring how much toilet paper I used, and also claiming I stink. I've asked my dad and my brother if I smell, and they all say I smell like perfume. Maybe a little too much perfume, but I don't stink. I'm so confused. What would cause her to act this way so suddenly to the point she's obsessing over my hygiene when I'm probably the cleanest person in the family? Is she mentally unwell or is she paranoid about something? It all just happened so suddenly. Do I talk to her? What do I say? Do I tell other family members? Do I ignore it and hope it passes? I'm so paranoid about peeing inside my own house when my mom is around because of this now. Relevant comments. Commenter: what on earth? I was able to use the bathroom and washed my hands with soap before my popcorn finished the other day. 6 minutes is insanity. OP, right? I could understand needing longer on your period if you have more to clean up, but 6 minutes minimum every time? I cannot imagine what takes someone that long to just pee if you aren't just peeing gallons of pee into the toilet every time. Commenter: Mom suddenly became a germaphobe. Is she like this with others? With herself? Or just you? Talk to Dad. Maybe she became aware that you are actually active or will be soon and she's having problems to cope with that. OP. I have noticed her being a little more iffy around my brother. He has a sesma that flared up recently. But otherwise, she's pretty much the same. She's only acting the most weird with me. I think I will talk to my father and hope he'll listen to me. I do not plan on being actually active anytime soon, but ever since I turned 15, she's been convinced I was going to sneakily do it with someone at school and was persistent in trying to make sure I never learned sex ed in my health class. Joke's on her. My school required it, so I learned it regardless. Maybe that is the reason. I hope this is just her having a little freak out and it won't escalate to anything more serious. Commenter: I'm sorry, your mom is famous germaphobe Howard Hughes. OP. It seems like she could use an evaluation by a professional, because what you're describing here sounds pretty far from a normal level of concern. OP. I'll have to have my dad try and convince her to be evaluated, because my mom has always been a "I don't want to be in therapy" kind of person because she thinks she's too old. It also doesn't help she is convinced subliminal messages will cure us of mental and physical health issues. Commenter: This is giving me serious mental unwellness, unspecified vibes. Seriously, it could turn into a safety and relationship issue. I highly recommend you talk with your dad in private. If he does nothing, maybe talk to a social worker or psychologist for advice. OP. I'll definitely talk to my dad tonight if he's not too busy from work and hope he can do something. If nothing comes of it, I'll reach out elsewhere and hope I can have some sort of support. Update 1. Thank you everyone for the support on my previous post. I greatly appreciate it. I wanted to update sooner, but so much chaos happened after my post that I just didn't have the opportunity to write an update. I took the advice of some comments to speak with my father about what was going on. I asked to go to the store but really used that as an excuse to get him out of the house with me so I could talk to him in a Burger King parking lot over some French fries. It was around lunch when we went out and we got hungry, haha. Knowing my mom wouldn't hear or be nearby to twist the story as I worried she might. Needless to say, he was not only speechless, but very concerned. I told him everything about her obsession over my hygiene and how I noticed her acting weird towards my brother as well. When I mentioned the part about my brother, he asked me if his psoriasis was acting up again. I asked what he was talking about because my brother has eczema, not psoriasis. That's when I found out that my dad suspects he has psoriasis on his scalp. But my brother says that it is eczema because my mom is disgusted by the fact he has psoriasis to the point her disgust developed into such severe anxiety, he can no longer work and he has not been able to get on SSI quite yet. He even attempted to take his own life and was admitted for a week, but I was told he was going away on a trip to Florida with a friend. I feel so lost and confused with all of this. A couple days later, Dad sat us down and said he's noticed our mom abused us and hurt us more than he wanted to accept/realize. Because the rose-tinted glasses finally came off for all of us, he is going to divorce her. However, we are staying with our aunt on his side in the meantime while he breaks the news, as he's aware it will not end well. He's aware she needs mental health support and that she can be dangerous at times, as she's threatened to hurt him in the past. He doesn't want us there to witness it if it happens. So for now, we're with our aunt as I wait for the text from mom or dad that will tell me he's either spoke with her or served her the papers. My brother is handling all this as well as he can. He is autistic and change is difficult for him, but I am doing my best to help him as best I can alongside my aunt. As for me, I am managing. I have been journaling to vent my emotions out and also to keep a record of things in case I may need it. I am also using it to explore potential abuse I have faced at the hands of my mother, seeing as there must have been things I considered normal that the public has seen as abnormal. My father is planning for us all to get therapy, but he wants to figure everything out before he can find us a therapist that is local and accepting our insurance. He has found us resources online if we need them, and I've been encouraging my brother to use them, but he is spending his days in bed gaming, only getting up to go for a walk alone around 9 p.m. to about 10 p.m. I can only hope that he is not spiraling again and will not be put back in the hospital, but I'm afraid it will end up going that route. I apologize if this update is all over the place. It's much like my head thinking back on all of this. I have also blocked out a lot of what happened, probably because realizing all the trauma we all had and just accept it as normal is traumatizing in itself somehow. Relevant comments. Commenter. I'm glad to hear that your dad has woken up to your mom's abuse and is taking real action to keep you and your brother safe. I'm certain that he has a lot on his plate right now, but I'd suggest that he not wait to find a therapist for you/your brother/himself. A therapist can be really helpful while you're in this transition period, especially for your brother since change is difficult for him. Depending on the availability of therapists in your area, you might have to be on a waiting list for a little bit, so you'll want to get on that list as soon as possible. Good for you for being brave. OP. I will definitely speak to my dad about this. I'm hoping we'll be able to find someone. My dad told us he searched for one for my brother after his attempt, but a lot of therapists in our area don't take our insurance. Half don't take cards either. They're cash only. The only ones that were taking our insurance are 2 or 3 hours away, though that was a while ago, so hopefully this time around we can find someone who takes insurance. Thank you so much for letting me know about waiting lists. Update 2. Hey everyone, it's been a wild couple of weeks, and I honestly don't even know where to start with this update. First off, thank you all for your kind words and advice on my last post. They really helped me stay grounded when everything felt like it was spiraling out of control. After moving in with my aunt, things were a bit tense but manageable. My dad had his conversation with my mom, or rather, he tried to. He served her the divorce papers, and as expected, it didn't go well. My mom completely lost it. She showed up at my aunt's house 2 days later, banging on the door and screaming like a woman possessed. My aunt had to call the cops to get her to leave, but even that wasn't the worst part. Apparently, my mom had already been spiraling before the divorce papers hit. I'm talking full-on conspiracy theories about how we were all plotting against her. She called me multiple times, accusing me of being in on some grand scheme with my dad to ruin her life. She even claimed that I was the one who convinced my brother to pretend he had eczema or psoriasis, she couldn't decide which, just to make her look bad. My phone was blowing up with her texts and voicemails, all of them more unhinged than the last. I finally had to block her, but it didn't stop there. My dad found out that she had been secretly visiting some shady healer who told her that we were all cursed and that she needed to cleanse us. That might explain the sudden obsession with hygiene, but it doesn't make it any less terrifying. She even went as far as breaking into our old house, where my dad still lived at the time while we were at my aunt's, and tried to purify my room. She tore through everything, dumping salt everywhere, burning sage, and throwing out anything she thought was contaminated. My dad walked in on her mid-purge and had to physically restrain her from setting my bed on fire. Yes, you read that right. She was trying to burn my bed because she thought it was harboring evil spirits. After that incident, my dad got a restraining order against her, and we had to up our security at my aunt's place. My mom has been ordered to stay away, but honestly, I'm scared she's going to try something crazy again. She's not the same person she used to be. This is something darker and more terrifying. In the meantime, we're trying to keep things as normal as possible, but it's hard when your life feels like a bad soap opera. My brother is still struggling, and he's been pulling away more and more. I can hear him gaming late into the night, and sometimes I just stand outside his door, listening, hoping to hear him laughing or talking to someone. But it's mostly just silence. He's barely eating, and when he does, it's like he's on autopilot. I've been trying to get him to go on walks with me instead of alone, but he shuts me down every time. I don't know what else to do. As for therapy, we finally found someone willing to take our insurance, but there's a 3-month waiting list. My dad is trying to expedite it by making calls and pushing wherever he can, but there's only so much he can do. In the meantime, he's been talking to some online therapists just to get some immediate help. I've tried reaching out to one of the online resources too, but it's hard to open up when everything feels so raw and overwhelming. And now, the kicker, my mom sent me a letter. It showed up yesterday, and I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the best of me. Inside was a handwritten note rambling, barely coherent, and full of accusations. She claimed that everything I've ever done was part of a plan to betray her, that I was the reason she and my dad are divorcing, and that she's going to make things right, whatever that means. The letter ended with her saying that she's going away for a while to regroup, and that when she comes back, she'll be stronger than ever. I have no idea what that means, but it sent chills down my spine. I haven't shown the letter to my dad yet. I'm still trying to process it myself. So yeah, that's where things stand. I feel like I'm living in a movie, but it's one I never wanted to be in. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm holding on to the hope that things will calm down eventually. Until then, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Thanks again for all the support. It means more than you know. I'll update again if anything changes. But for now, I'm just taking things one day at a time. Relevant comments. Commenter, holy cow, that's terrifying. Your mom really seems to have lost touch with reality. Have you thought about going completely no contact with her? I'm definitely considering it. I think after that letter, I need to cut her off for my own sanity. It's just so hard because she's still my mom, you know? But yeah, I think no contact might be the only option at this point. Commenter, I'm worried about your brother. Sounds like he's in a really bad place. Please keep an eye on him. OP, I'm trying, but it's hard. He's always been so private, and now he's just retreating further. I'm scared for him too. I'm hoping the therapist will help once we can get in. Update 3. Hey everyone. I'm back with another update. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to write this one, but so much has happened that I feel like I need to get it out there. It's been a whirlwind, and things have gotten even more bizarre and intense than before. First off, thank you for all the support on my last post. Reading through the comments really helped me feel less alone in all of this. I've tried to take the advice to heart, especially regarding my brother and my own mental health. But let me tell you, it hasn't been easy. So, here's what's been going on. After I received that letter from my mom, I knew things were far from over. I showed it to my dad, and he immediately contacted his lawyer. We were all worried about what my mom meant by regrouping and coming back stronger. The restraining order was supposed to keep her away, but I guess we all knew deep down that a piece of paper wouldn't stop her if she really wanted to do something. And we were right. 2 days after I got the letter, my mom showed up at my aunt's house again. This time, she didn't just bang on the door and scream. She tried to break in. She had a hammer and was going at the lock like a woman possessed. My aunt, who is normally this super calm and collected person, was absolutely terrified. We were all in the living room when we heard the noise, and when we realized what was happening, panic set in. My dad called the cops, but it felt like forever before they got there. My brother, who had been in his room playing games, came out and saw what was happening. For a split second, he just froze. I think seeing our mom like that completely unhinged broke something in him. He grabbed me by the arm and pulled me towards the back door, telling me we needed to get out of the house. I don't know what his plan was, but in that moment, I could see that he was terrified too. Luckily, the cops showed up just as my mom managed to break the lock. They restrained her before she could get inside, but the whole scene was a nightmare. She was screaming at the top of her lungs, accusing all of us of conspiring against her, calling my dad every name in the book, and saying that we'd all regret what we'd done to her. It was like watching a person completely lose touch with reality, and it shook me to my core. They took her away, but the whole incident left us all rattled. My dad spent hours on the phone with his lawyer and the police, trying to figure out what to do next. The restraining order clearly wasn't enough, and we were all scared she'd come back. My aunt insisted that we install better security cameras, new locks, the works, and we did that immediately. In the aftermath, my brother shut down completely. He stopped talking, stopped eating, and barely left his room. I tried everything to get through to him, but it was like he was just gone. My aunt and I finally convinced my dad to get him into a hospital, and he's been there for the past few days. It's the same place he went after his attempt, so at least he's familiar with it, but I know he hates being there. I visit him every day, but it's hard seeing him like this. I feel like I'm losing him too. As for my mom, she's been committed to a psychiatric facility after the break-in. The police and her lawyer agreed that she's a danger to herself and others, and she needs help. I wish I could say I felt relieved, but honestly, I just feel numb. It's hard to reconcile the woman who raised me with the person she's become. I don't know if she'll ever be the same again, or if this is just how things are going to be from now on. My dad is doing his best to keep everything together, but I can tell he's exhausted. He's been trying to focus on work, but between dealing with the divorce, my mom's situation, and my brother, he's stretched thin. We've started therapy finally, but it's still early days, and I'm not sure how much it's helping yet. I guess I'm still in survival mode, just trying to get through each day without completely breaking down. The hardest part is the uncertainty. Even though my mom is in a facility, I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. What if she gets out and tries something else? What if my brother doesn't get better? What if my dad can't handle all of this? There are so many what-ifs swirling around in my head, and it's exhausting. One strange thing that happened, though I found out that my mom had been seeing this healer for way longer than I thought. Apparently, she started going to him about a year ago, right around the time when her behavior started to change. I did some digging, and it turns out this guy is a total fraud, preying on vulnerable people and feeding them all sorts of nonsense. I don't know if he's the reason my mom spiraled, but it's infuriating to think that someone might have taken advantage of her when she was already struggling. I've passed all the info to my dad and his lawyer, and they're looking into it. So that's where things stand right now. My brother is in the hospital, my mom is in a psychiatric facility, and my dad and I are just trying to hold it all together. It feels like everything is crumbling around us, and I don't know what the future holds. I wish I had a more hopeful update, but this is the reality we're living in. I'll keep you all posted if anything changes, but for now, we're just taking it one day at a time. Thanks for sticking with me through all of this, it really means a lot. Relevant comments. Commenter. I'm so sorry you're going through all of this. It sounds like your mom's mental health issues were building up for a long time, and that healer might have pushed her over the edge. I hope she gets the help she needs. How are you holding up? OP. Honestly, I'm just trying to stay strong for my brother and my dad. It's hard, though. I've been journaling a lot, and therapy is starting to help, but it's a process. I think I'm still in shock over everything that's happened. Commenter. I'm glad your mom is getting help, but it must be so hard seeing her like that. Do you think you'll visit her in the facility? OP. I don't know. Part of me wants to, but another part of me is scared to see her in that state. I think I need more time to process everything before I can make that decision.